Ever since SZA announced her plans of dropping her album SOS after a 5-year break, there has been non-stop conversation about it, with nothing but pure excitement from her fans, with me being one of them. I mean, people were missing her so much they started wondering if she'd be like Lauryn Hill, make an album and just disappear. But thankfully, that wasn't the case. My observation to the reaction of the announcement has made me realize how much power and influence she has, which in this day and age, when it comes to music, you really have to be really, really special to possess. Being that we are in such a microwavable era of music and artists. Not to say that I don't love or appreciate newness when it comes to music, but there are a lot of people who don't hold your attention anymore like they used to. Whether that be because of them not putting enough effort into their craft or them not exactly fully connecting to the audience. Like not being relatable, for instance. Since music is something that you must feel in order for it to be considered quote-unquote good as far as emotional relatability and pulling the heartstrings of the listener, whether it be for fun, healing, or emotional support, I feel like that's exactly where SZA has excelled at. Being that she makes music about heartbreak, growing pains, and life lessons that all people go through, she has built a super loyal and supportive fan base who probably wouldn't trade her music for a dime in the world. And that's exactly what makes SZA so powerful and influential. With Control being her first big project, there are so many things that she did right in order to be granted the liberty and advantage to take such a long break with only one really good body of work. I mean, before she released Control, she put out an EP, but Control is the album that she is most recognized for. It's the album that basically exposed her to new people, like me, for instance. Control came at such a pivotal moment for her target audience, most of which were girls and young women in high school or in their 20s and some even in their 30s. But regardless of which, it was pivotal because there were so many people who were feeling insecure in toxic relationships and situationships, like being the girl only for the weekend. Learning lessons about love, learning lessons about themselves, and learning from mistakes overall. I don't see myself, why I can't stay long just by myself. One of the things I really loved about this album that she added was the wisdom being passed from older generations of women to the younger generations. Like when she had her grandmother and her mother on the interludes and the endings of some of the songs. I feel like they gave the album a lot of structure, and it was so beautiful to me because there are some young girls and women who don't necessarily have that support and guidance from older women in their lives. It gave a sense of relatability because it showed how they've all dealt with the same issues, and it kind of bridged a gap between the two. But one of the things I'd like to say about Control though is that looking back on it, it can actually be a bit depressing. Control is one of those albums that you listen to when you're in a specific season of your life. Like when you feel like you're in need of some guidance or music to relate to. Being that the theme was mostly about the process of growing, making mistakes, and finding who you are, there are a lot of lines in the album that may not be beneficial to you if you're in a good mental and emotional headspace, because you begin to see how detrimental the actions and the feelings being displayed really are. Wish I was comfortable just with myself, but I need you, but I need you, but I need you. But I think the silver lining in this is the fact that Control was and still is many things for many people, like guidance, healing, good music, nostalgia, and for me and many others, a combination of all. Because if you've ever related to any of the songs on the album, it's a reminder of where you once were, and sometimes it can still be used for guidance, healing, and good music. With this being the case, it's what made SZA seem like an ally and no different from the average person, which in turn gave her power, influence, and liberty when it comes to her relationship with her fans. So much liberty that taking long periods of time between dropping albums wasn't really a big hindrance on her career like most thought it would be, because for most people it is. it actually built up a lot of anticipation, and it gave her fans a lot of time to miss her. It also granted a lot of time for her to live in order to create and then come back with more good music. It's actually kind of funny because if you pay attention to the history of music, especially in the 90s, going 3 to 5 years without dropping a new album wasn't such a big deal. It was actually pretty common. And now, I don't know if it's because of streaming services and social media changing the way that we interact with music, but nowadays most people can't even wait 2 years without craving new content. And that's a really big downfall because most people won't even listen to a full body of music the whole way through because of the lack of attention span. It's important for artists like SZA to take such long periods of time because it allows them to grow and experience new things in order for the music to not be rushed mediocrity, but instead be a carefully orchestrated masterpiece. And after listening to SOS, I think that it's safe to say that the wait wasn't in vain. Even though I feel like SOS is the graduated version of Control, with a lot more maturity, confidence, and a lot less self-depreciation. Actually, no, I'm completely bugging. I listened to the album a little bit more and realized that SOS does not have a lot more confidence. It actually seems like she's still catering to what she did on Control, but with a slightly different approach. It will definitely be another one for the books because of its relatability. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's telling a story with these sequences. For the next album, I hope that she steps into her villain era. I really do. Honestly, can't say too much about SOS because it just dropped a couple hours ago, and when it comes to me and my processing of music, I have to sit on it for a little while and really fully grasp the concept of things, so I really can't say too much about it right now, but SOS has already been receiving great reviews thus far, so she really never disappoints. So SZA being able to connect with her fans on an emotional and even some might say spiritual level is the key factor to her success, along with her talent. And that is exactly why she is and always will be loved with power and influence.
Damn bitch, you like 30. You didn't have shit to say to me, I ain't got shit to say to you.